got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio.
This is Home Show Radio live on Facebook and YouTube. Your questions, Tom's answers. Now here's Tom Tynan and Charlie Mosier.
And here we are doing our live shot we do every Thursday. Do we have an audience? I'm looking. Yay. No, okay, if we're going to have an audience, we have to have a band too, okay? A Doc Everson or something like that. That'll work. All right. Are we going to play
working with a limited budget over here,
We're going to
Tom.
spend 5 minutes and let Charlie play with his new toys, and then we'll get to business.
I am not playing with my new toys. Back to you, Tom.
I'm waiting for a movement.
Well,
You figured that one out.
Well, at our age, that could be a while. So,
Or it could be very quick. We'll see.
True.
All right. Anyway, I'm Tom Tynan, Home Show Radio. I answer your home improvement questions. That's all I do. I know how to fix toilets and use them too, as well as other things around the house, like front doors, back doors, locks, building roof systems, ventilation, insulation, and that kind of thing. And I answer questions mainly. I started on the radio many years, 35 years ago, and still am on Sports Radio 610 in Houston, Texas. And we're on 9 to noon on Saturdays and 8 to 11 on Sundays. And before us, are you ready? We have the Garden Guides, which are very popular right now, probably in many parts of the country, but in Houston, Texas, big time, because everything died 3 weeks ago. Maybe it was 4. I don't remember. Anyway, we had a freeze of a freeze of a freeze, and planting is very big time. Right, Charlie?
indeed. In fact, I was in Memphis yesterday. And
they got pounded.
They got pounded. You know,
Yes.
their plumbing contractors aren't quite as slammed as we are, but here in Houston. But yeah, they had a freeze up there the same way, and it was pretty nasty. So, what we do here, by the way. Oh yeah, what we do here on Thursdays, by the way, during the Facebook Live thing, if you're new to the program, is we play with our equipment, but we also answer your questions that you send us to homeshowradio.com under the Ask Tom section. There's a little button right in the front, Ask Tom. You send those in, but you can also enter your questions down here in the comment section underneath us, and we're happy to get those. Tom's getting late breaking news from the control room there.
I know. I felt like I was on Fox or something.
Wait a second. All right. Does Tucker have something to tell you there?
No, I don't know.
Let's go ahead. Let's see. Let's see what we got over here. Got Robert and Frank and Ralph are here. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Rosa just came in. Thank you for being with us here today. We appreciate y'all watching the show and being part of the Gala Thursday broadcast as we roll along. Well, I get some questions in.
I'm ready. That's what I do.
There we go. Let's do the do. Here we go. First one comes from Kay in Huntsville. She said, I was at altitude this morning early. It kind of threw me off, but it
wasn't that high of an altitude.
Well,
you weren't climbing the Alps. You were in Memphis.
Yeah.
Or did you fly home in an unpressurized plane? Maybe that's the ticket, like a B-29. Okay.
Yeah, no, I flew back. I came back via FedEx 2-day package from Memphis. That's it. Yeah, I absolutely positively had to be here today, so that's how I came back. No. In fact, when I went up there, it was a plane so small. It's one of those ones you don't get on, you put on. And but anyway, okay, let's get to the question.
The one I fly every week. Okay, fine. Yes,
right.
I know.
Kay in Huntsville, remember her?
Yes.
She says, I'm going to sell my house. He said, should I replace the outdated appliances and replace my Foggy double pane windows before I sell?
No, I don't think you should do anything except clean the house up really nice. Don't unclutter it if you have to. Get rid of all the junk you've been saving. Make it like a very clean, quaint home that is ready for someone to do something with, and sell it as is. They might go replace all the windows in the home. They want to pick out their own appliances. Now, if they come to your house and they say, your appliance, we're going to have to replace the appliances. We'd like an appliance adjustment. You can play with the price. They'll say, all right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll take $400 off the cost of the house. You can put that towards your appliances. It's something simple, something not all the way, but maybe a quarter of the way, just as good faith. But move the house. Don't put a bunch of money in it. I think it's a big mistake. I have bought and sold and lived in all that time, many homes in my career and in my life. I never fixed it up. They got it the way I was going to leave it. They even would ask me to do things like, can you pressure wash the front door? No. It's your house now. If you want it, you pressure wash the front door. I don't do any repairs that comes off their inspection report. Now, they need an inspection report just like you would if you bought a new home. But you know what? It's for them to fix it. If there's a little negotiation where you take a few $100s, maybe on a $200,000 home, you take $1,500 off and move the house, let them deal with it. Don't deal with it because it's not a headache you need to deal with, but make sure you clean it up and make the house look presentable like it's been taken care of over the years. You're not going to bring it up to code. You're not going to put new appliances in. That's not going to help you on the sale of the home. In fact, it's going to hurt your pocketbook and your return on the property.
So there.
Yeah, I strongly believe that.
No, I
I'm
believe
every
with
house.
you. You know, you sell a house, you clean it up, and make an allowance.
My first house I sold, we didn't know we were going to sell it. It was a quick move came up on us, and we had put brand new carpeting in the home. Mm-hmm. Lord knows I didn't pick the color. It was an other wife of mine from many years ago. And she picked a very dark green.
Oh, I thought maybe it was an avocado kind of shade.
No, but it was close. It was a green. Green is the most hated color. If you take a poll of all people, green is the most hated color. And I always suspected it's because when you go outside, the grass, the trees, the plants, everything is green except after a freeze. And people get tired of it. They don't want it in their home. They want other colors. That's just my own theory. But as far as it goes, I drove by that house maybe a week later after they moved in. All that brand new, and it was beautiful, expensive carpet, don't get me wrong, was rolled up in the front yard going to the dump. All that green carpet. They didn't like green. When people buy a home, they're going to make it their own. They're not going to love what you have. They're going to love the possibility they can get with the new home that they're buying for them.
Fair enough. I'm with you. I mean, it's like, I can't imagine why somebody would buy a house and say, no, we can't change a thing. I mean, that's what you do when you rent, right?
Yeah, and, I've had realtors say, if you would just put in new countertops, if you would just paint the whole house, if you would put in a new jacuzzi out back. Yeah, if I did that, I'd stay. Why would I move? You want to sell the house easy for your 6%, and the money's coming out of my pocket. Come on, we got to work together on the same page here. It's win-win for everybody, right?
I like win-win.
I got
win-win-win.
Got that off my chest. I'm good.
Thank you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Tom answers your questions and vents his spleen every Thursday at 4 o'clock here on Facebook. Let's see. Say hi to Ralph and Sue.
Hey, Ralph.
And Janice is here. David is watching. And so is Chris Desmond. Chris, don't you have something to edit?
Chris Desmond?
He's down in our video department. Yeah. Anyway, so we got a bunch of questions. And we're getting questions here.
Video department. And you're on your payroll, pal, so
right.
you know what your people are doing.
We're just trying to get the show count up. So, right before the show, I texted everybody I knew. So
they're all sitting down there eating popcorn, watching his computer.
They are. All right. So let's hear a question here came in. And by the way, if you have a question, you can put it in the comments section. We'll answer it right here, part of the broadcast. That's why we're live. Here's one from Diane Weaver. She says, is it better to have a ridge vent or the turbines or both when getting a new roof?
Never both. You wouldn't do that. And never turbines. Don't ever do that. Those things, they've got a few places left on a doghouse or a porta potty or something like that, but for the most part, they aren't even used much on those anymore.
Or
ridge vents.
Or in Aladdin. They wear the turbines in Aladdin.
Okay. Yes, if it's a hat.
Okay.
I wear a fez because I'm a Shriner, but I wouldn't wear it to dinner. But the bottom line is this. Ridge vents, only way to go. Ridge vents, soffit vents. You got a ridge, use a ridge vent. They don't need any other extra help if you have enough ridge. Okay,
fair enough. Got another one here. CJ has sent one here. CJ Rose says, is there such a thing, Tom, as a squirrel-proof lead jack?
You can squirrel-proof them, and that's what you would do. Can you buy them if you buy a lead jack? No. But what you do is, and what I did, is you take what's called peel and stick. It's a roofing material that you peel the backing off and it sticks down, and they use it in valleys. Some of people call it ice and water shield. It sticks. It's a self-sticking, very thick rubber, but not so thick that you can't work with it. And you cut it in small pieces, peel the back off, and wrap the lead jack after it's in place with this product, and then spray paint it to match the roof color. And the squirrels cannot chew through it. They want nothing to do with it. In the old days, and you'll still see it on some roofs, people would make a cage over it out of 1/8-inch hardware cloth, and they would wrap it with that. But you really don't need to do that with that peel and stick. It's much simpler, and it gives it a better clean line.
All right, fair enough. I'm dealing with a little bit of technical issue here. Let's see, Patricia's here now, and David's got a long question. I'm going to figure out how we can do that. And Randy's here now, too. Thank you for coming with us. We're answering the questions that you're putting in the comment section and ones we get at homeshowradio.com from the Ask Tom button on the homepage. This we do every Thursday here. Here's one for you right now. Oh, by the way, I just noticed whoever the guy who's running the switcher here has the wrong logo up here in the corner. I should fix that right now before we go 1 inch further. There you go. That's the right one. This one comes from Bill in Spring. Well,
but everybody noticed now.
Now I drew attention to it right here. Anyway, Bill in Spring says, I have a one-story home built in the 60s, and as far as insulation, what would be most helpful in the attic or walls? It's a brick home, and also can siding be attached to brick, or would brick have to be removed if I want to put siding on? What say you?
Well, first off, insulation in your attic is about all you're going to do. You're not going to do anything in the walls unless you open them up. And then you could replace the old worn insulation with some new fiberglass. And I would use formaldehyde-free fiberglass, but that's only if you're pulling all the sheetrock off. There's nothing you're going to pump in there or do anything that's going to be any real advantage to you. That wouldn't be more of a mess and a huge expense that you'll never see your money back, so don't worry about that. As far as the attic, if you need to beef it up, just blow in some formaldehyde-free fiberglass over the top of whatever's there, and they'll smooth it out nice. You're looking for about an R30, R34, somewhere in there, no more than a 38. And that's probably about 14 inches of fiberglass in thickness if on a tape measure. So just do something as simple as that. Can you put siding on brick? You can. I don't know why you would do it, but you can do anything in this world if you think out the details. And if you want to nail up furring strips with adhesive and nails, which would be pressure treated 1x4s, and then nail siding over the top of it, I can't say you can't do it. I don't know how you're going to detail it to the roof and stuff, but you'll have to think that one out. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would not pull the brick off to put on the wood siding. And the reason is because you have a brick ledge there of 5.5 inches deep. And what's going to happen is you're going to have this ledge hanging out over the bottom of your house. It's going to look ridiculous. The siding's going to lay on the top of that, and it could get water and stuff coming in. It wouldn't make a good detail. So if you were going to overlay your brick with something, whether it's siding or put stucco on a river, leave the brick there and put it on it.
Yeah, so you would go over the brick with the siding?
If I wanted to do siding, I would. Would I do that? No. But, well, I can't say that. It could be some really specific reason somebody wants to do something. But yeah, if your reason, and I should never say no to everything because you never know. But if it's a great idea and you got a specific reason you're doing it, put it on the brick. Don't take the brick off. Just leave it there for eternity.
Eternity? It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Randy is here. So is JD and Shane and Annelle and Janice. Janice, I already called you out, but it's nice to see you.
Maybe it's another Janice.
It could be. Could there be more than one?
Yes. There's 2 Janices in the world.
All right. So David has had a bunch of questions here. He had a bad refrigerator experience. David, I'm going to skip over that because we're just for time and all. But he has this. He says, yes. I wonder, he says, how many old avocado green refrigerators are still in garages with no electronic parts? He says he had one in his lake house that didn't survive a renovation 20 years ago. But I'm just wondering. I mean, those simple ones.
It's a question I cannot answer. But I grew up with an avocado refrigerator. The freezer was on the bottom and the refrigerator was on top. I remember that specifically. And it was in Fort Worth, Texas, actually. And the whole kitchen, cooktop and everything, oven, built in, double oven. I remember making little pizzas when frozen pizzas just got invented. It was the 60s. But as far as that goes,
Tom goes back,
knows?
boys and girls. Yeah.
Yes, I was born in the 50s.
Okay.
But as far as that goes, who knows how many? And can they still run? It's not a complicated piece of equipment, and it might not even be in someone's garage. I bet you there's still a kitchen or two out there that still has it in there. And just to give you an example, I have, and someday I'll take a picture of it, Charlie, and you can put it online. I have the original ice box from my family from over 100 years ago in my living room that I refinished. And it is truly an ice box. It doesn't plug in. That my father grew up getting stuff out of it on the back porch of his house in Connecticut. So some of those things are still out there for us old folks.
I remember when I was a wee little one growing up in the icy confines of northern New Hampshire. In the wintertime, we'd put stuff on the back porch when the fridge got full. Yeah, just put it on the back porch. It's just as cold out there.
Okay, and just a little lesson. When I moved to Lake Placid, New York, we had a party for all the neighbors. And I was going to be smart. So I put all the beer in the snow on the patio.
How'd that turn out,
Within
Tom?
20 minutes, it was ice. It was just a can of frozen ice. So
Yeah.
there is a place where you don't want the beer to go past.
Hey, David does have a legit question for you, though. He says,
Sure, that was a legit question.
from a home in Maine that is a two-season place that is uninsulated, would you recommend fiberglass insulation underneath, secured with chicken wire, or the spray foam? I think I know what you're going to say here.
Spray foam. Did you think that?
I absolutely did not. You
Yes.
got me.
In my house in Lake Placid, it was over 100 years old, and we had restored it. And when the walls and everything got open, what we did was we sprayed the foam. We sprayed it in the ceiling of the attic, typical application. We sprayed it on the underside of the basement. And where necessary, and I won't get into all the details, we installed the proper vapor barriers that you would never use in the Houston area where we are now. We don't use vapor barriers at all. And it worked very well. Now, the reason is because it was 40 below zero all the time. Maine gets pretty darn cold too. And it's a different climate with different issues, even though it's very humid. But I actually would not use the fiberglass there because you really need a lot more R value for the thickness that you're allowed, especially in the older homes. And so the foam does work well, and you don't have a lot of vapor transfer through there. In fact, in the wintertime when you're heating that home, you can get humidity levels inside a house down in the teens where people get dry sinuses and issues like that. Charlie, I don't know if you ever experienced that when you lived up in New Hampshire, but in Lake Placid, I would get nosebleeds and things. It was terrible. We had to crack windows just to get some of the humidity in the house and use a humidifier as opposed to a dehumidifier to get that humidity up. And if it got up to about 25%, it would just start to rain on the glass on the windows. So it's a whole different situation up there than it ever would be down here. So believe it or not, foam works.
Well, there are places where it makes sense.
Now, Charlie, people are going to cut that up and just use my sound bites.
I
They're going
know.
to say, see, Tom said use foam.
Right.
But only
Do me
in
a
certain areas.
Do me a favor, Tom, just for editing purpose, would you say the words in hell? Just go ahead and say that.
How about this when they call you and you say, would you like this? And I say, yes. See? And then they say, thank you for saying yes, bye. Right? They use the sound bites.
Help me out. Just say the words. I don't want you to say the two words in hell. Just say that.
In hell?
Perfect. Because now I'll just take that and edit it. There are places where foam makes sense. So anyway.
Hell. Actually, in opposite hell.
Opposite
Where
hell.
it's cold.
Okay. Hey,
Opposite hell.
by the way, you said Lake Placid. That triggered one. David says that,
Yes.
do you believe in miracles? In 1980, remember that Russian game? It was one of the few.
My son, now I
Yeah.
lived right down the street from that. Yes, I do
Right.
remember. I was in college at the time. My son, he was only my middle boy, I think 5 years old. He played hockey on that rink. I used to go in there because it was so cold, and I would run around up at the top and do my laps and do my running because I couldn't do it outside. I know that rink in that area very, very well. In fact, the high school was right across the street that my boys went to, and I would have to drive there every day. It was only 2 minutes down the road because from that, the rink, I lived in a house right up at the Lake Placid Club. I owned a cottage up there, and we could see the ski jumps and everything. So I know that town inside and out, every back square inch of it. And yes, I do remember, do you believe in miracles?
In Texas, it's
Yes.
hard. If you live in Texas, it's hard to understand how compact everything is up there that Tom's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
And if you have to drive more than 3 minutes, it's, that's on the other side of town. I'm not going there till
Right.
Thursday.
yeah, they were saying that one of the people who were hosting me in Memphis yesterday said that you can get anywhere you want in Memphis in 20 minutes. I said, how long does it take to get out of Memphis? So, now, only because I miss Houston. Memphis is a beautiful place. We love to be in there, and we had a great time and all that. And thanks to Devin and Whitney for putting us up. We had a great time with them. All right. Let's see. Here's
I
one.
did a TV show at Graceland.
Edmundo writes to us now. He says, my bathroom is 10 by 8 and has no windows. I get mildew on the ceiling. How can I prevent it? Do I need a bigger exhaust fan?
I think there's a myth where exhaust fans are the cure-all for mildew on a ceiling. I've talked to many people, and it always, as I get deeper into the stories, it has to do with lifestyle. If you have a shower in any bathroom with the largest exhaust fan in the world, except all walls are gone, like I had my outdoor shower in Galveston, and even that you could sweat up the ceiling. If you take a hot, steamy shower for a long period of time, it's going to get wet. It's going to reach dew point, and you're going to have all that steam get up there, and the exhaust fan's not going to handle it fast enough, and so you're going to get mildew. So it has to be maintained and cleaned, or the showers have to be kept to a reasonable amount of time. So I don't want to just say put this giant fan in and you'll never have mildew on your ceiling, because in the last conversation I had on the air with a man, he had 2 teenage daughters, and he said, Tom, how do I avoid this? And as we started to discuss it, I said, if that's what you got, you're going to have to cut the hot water off and get them out of the shower after 10 minutes, because they would spend 30 minutes. And he just laughed like Charlie just laughed, and it was pretty much, okay, this question's over. He's going to have to clean up, and you're going to have to clean up after it too. The exhaust fan will do some, but not everything if it's really heavy. And secondly, the main reason, and I'm just going to be delicate with this, we have fans in a bathroom is not to get rid of the moisture. It's to get rid of the odors from what happens in a bathroom, so it doesn't end up spreading throughout the house after people are done with their duty.
Well, howdy.
Yeah, duty, yes. I just left it at that. I wasn't going any further.
Thank you, Tom. I'm glad you're so obtuse.
Politically
in your
correct?
reference. Yes, it was like we're all still trying to figure out exactly that veiled reference.
Yes, I know. I can tell.
This segment of Ask Tom Live brought to you by Poo-Pourri, available at Bed Bath & Beyond.
And Broan exhaust fans, the smell will be gone with one flip of the switch.
What is it, Broan? Broan exhaust fans. The smell will be gone and there'll be no groan. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Might be
Let's
some
see.
groans.
He's got one here. Yeah. We're inching along here, kids. That's right. We're just answering the questions you send us. You want to put them in the comment section below. We can help you out. Hey, you remember Jibby John, our buddy? He comes in pretty regularly.
I do.
He wants to know, do we have somebody who can screen a patio? I'm not sure we have one of our pros can do that. Can you think of one that might be able to do that? Maybe Mike Ball or Rudy?
Mike Ball might be a call, believe it or not. I didn't mean to rhyme it.
I hear
that
he
one,
does
but-
it all.
Well, that's true. In fact, he was at my house the other day, and we were going through. He does a lot of things that I can't keep up with, so that would not be a bad call to make and ask Mike. Mike's a great guy, and Charlie, that's actually very intuitive of you. I like that. So yes, try that. That would be the only person I would know of any of us to call. I would not call Rudy. There are people out there that do screen rooms, but you've got to be careful, number one, and number two, they're not real popular. So you have to find someone in the screening business that'll do it, because it's a very specialized operation. But there are people that do a lot of that type of work. I just don't have a name. But Mike might have, if he doesn't do it, he's probably had the request in his business, and he might have a reference he can give you.
So you want to say hi to Janice and Janine and Diane.
You keep mentioning
and Tim.
Janice. Do we have a whole bunch of them?
There's more than one. You were correct, Tom. Apparently, there is no cap on the use of the name Janice. It's
I have a sister-in-law in Hawaii named Janice. So
we can talk to our legislators about this. Perhaps we should cap that. I know that they've capped the use of the name Karen. So,
yeah, that's not a good name now, I guess.
Right, no, I guess not. All right. Question for us from Dan. He says, my gas hot water heater is slowly dripping water outside from the hot copper line at the top of the hot water heater. This has never happened before. I did turn off the water heater during the freeze, and the water heater is set at medium hot. No abnormal smells or temperature variations. What is this a sign of? And do you have a suggested repair for him, Tom?
Yeah, I think he probably has to. If it's a copper line, it's probably sweated on. And who knows, maybe the cold weather loosened the pipe a little bit. It contracted and expanded a little bit and just made a little hole so it's leaking at a connection. And being copper, it's so soft, it can happen. So I'm not going to tell him what to do because I can't see it. But a plumber can probably just re-sweat the whole connection back to normal. If the water heater's working fine and the drip is really from the pipe and not the heater itself, then I'm sure it's just redoing the connection so it's nice and tight and leak-free again. If he was telling me it's leaking at the bottom of the water heater or somewhere like that, then it's time for a new water heater. If it's at a pipe connection on the top, I would just have that connection redone.
It's easy enough.
Yeah.
Some of them are hard, and I like that you're swinging them all here, buddy. By the way,
yeah, well, the hard one was that turquoise refrigerator. How many are left in the world?
No, I don't think.
Avocado. Was it avocado?
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, avocado. That's a tough question. How many are left in garages? That's pressure, man. That's pressure. 8. I don't know. Okay.
You know, Tom, it would be swinging this Saturday at the Berry Center.
And Sunday, too, for that matter.
That's
but
true.
Live on the show, and then I'm hanging out till 2:30. We're back to home show season. I got to do one quickly this last weekend. It was fun. It was nice. It was small and concise, but people run around. I didn't have 100 people coming up because it's not big of a show at that place. But last week I had 4 or 5 people that were just delightful to talk to. And if you're out at the Berry Center, which a Berry Center is a bigger venue, I do believe, because it's a pretty nice place. I know that area because my son played high school football at that stadium that cost $40 million for the taxpayers. So he really enjoyed it as a senior in high school.
Yeah, Robin Hood, alive and well, right there.
Yes. Anyway, I'll be out there and answering questions, talking to you, saying hello. And Sunday, too, from, I want to say 12:30 to 2:30, because I'm doing the show from my house till 11 o'clock. Okay. And then I'm going to take some lunch, clean up, and going out there.
And clean up, hose off.
Yeah, I'll clean up.
There. Hose off.
Yes, my wife's going to have this shirt all pressed and stuff because it's seen some better days right now. It needs a little laundering.
Well, we got to look at
I don't know
new
how to
shirts.
iron.
We talked about, hey, you know who's watching right now?
I have no... Janice?
Speaking... No, we've run out of Janice's. But,
okay.
No, but speaking of machetes, Elmer Dutton is watching. Just came up on my little screen here. Hello, Elmer. How you doing? And Raymond
actually is one of the most coolest people I ever met in my life.
He really is.
He tells stories about World War II, digging tunnels, things blowing up. I mean, it was really cool. Yeah, he likes old cars. And hi, Elmer. I hope all's going well.
Elmer Elmer, if Jim wants to watch and get some pointers from Tom, we're here to help as well.
Oh, Jim does just fine.
No, okay. All right.
And I like Jim too.
And Maria's just come in too. Hello, Marie. Thank you for joining us here this afternoon on the show. Joe Rodriguez has sent us in a question. He says, I'm having sewer problems where sometimes I get sewer backup in both bathtubs and on-time water from underneath the toilet. The toilet clogs easy, and when the washer empties, I assume I need a camera inspection, he says. Would that be your first shot on this?
Well, there's no doubt you need a camera, and you got a belly, a broken pipe, something's going on if it's regular. Although it could be just such a big clog that nobody's taking care of it. It just doesn't heal itself. It's not getting better with age. This is where Abacus comes in. They will snake out all your lines. And I'm not sure what their timeline in getting to you right now if it's not an emergency because we're still reeling from the freeze. But they also will go in and run a camera down there to see if there's any existing problems that are going to keep happening. And what you're explaining to me, it sounds like there is. And then they'll diagnose it for you. And the whole issue there is $123. They call it the 1, 2, 3, any clog drain deal, something like that. It was a little longer than I can remember.
Comes right off the tongue. It's awesome, Tom.
Yeah, it slides right off.
Alan
I actually did
just
it for
sent
my
me a
mother
text.
once and it turned out to be cigarette butts.
Alan O'Neill just sent a text saying, "Nailed it, Tom."
Yeah, thanks. I haven't actually used this in a while since the freeze because it was like not on anybody's big bucket list at the time. But yeah, they got a great deal. And when they do diagnose it, they'll give you an estimate on what it'll cost to fix. And then, of course, you can make your choice. But at least you get a camera involved in that. And here's what I'm getting at. You can have someone come out with a camera. They'll charge you $500, $600, $700. And they'll run a camera down there and give you the diagnosis. But what they do at Abacus, if you have a clogged drain line, they're going to come and unclog it. They're all set up for it. They have trucks just for that. They do it quick, so they can do it for $123. And part of their service on that is that they can put a camera down real quick too. Take a good fast look-see to see if there's any real inherent problems and then let you know. And that way, if there is, they'll tell you what it could be. And then you decide later if you want to fix it or not, but at least it'll be flowing clean at that point. And you have an idea. That's the beauty of it. You have an idea of what is really, if there's a bigger issue happening.
One of the things we were talking about with that plumbing client of ours in Memphis when we were there yesterday, they were talking about doing drain clear, and it's surprising how many houses don't have a clean out.
Oh boy. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that because the $123 is if you have accessible cleanouts. And it is written very clearly on their agreement with you when you come in. So I forgot all about that.
The copy over here, you know?
Yes. Very accessible cleanouts, which they usually discuss with you on the phone. Yeah. So usually I don't have enough time to get in all the details. But yes, that's true.
You know, I love my work. I do. I mean, Tom and I, we enjoy this. We have fun, and that's why we get together on Thursdays and share more of this stuff with you. And it keeps us from getting into trouble doing anything else and so on.
On Thursdays.
Yeah, on Thursday. The rest of the week.
Yeah.
But they were telling me, Tom, I didn't know. They said if you don't have a clean out, one of the other things they can do is they can go up and go in one of the vent stacks on the roof to go down and look in. Is that right?
You were listening that night, even with that $900 bottle of wine, because of the fact that they did that at my...
It was not a $900 bottle of wine. All right, Tom, I have to explain this. Now, hold on. I got to explain.
Wait, I was going to tell about my mother. That's what they did at my mother's house. Went through the vent stack. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I thought your mother had a $300. No, we went out to dinner, and there was a really nice bottle of wine on the wine list, and I'm not one to say no to properly fermented grape juice. And so there it is. So it was pricey.
Yeah, but Charlie, speaking of grape juice, Houston Rodeo, are you on the wine committee this year?
In fact, I am.
And are they doing it this year? I really haven't gotten a straight story on the Houston Rodeo.
They're going to have the auction. But you know, it's funny, last year it was the Rodeo Uncorked and the auction were two of the only events that actually happened before Dora leaned on the powers that be and got them to pull the plug on it. So, but that's, yeah. So yeah, there will be an auction this year. And all that, okay. And they had the slap in. I'm on the swine committee too because it's right. I know swine and wine, but they just had the slap into the pig a couple weeks ago. The pigs won't cooperate and wait till May. You know, their gestation period comes along, so they had to judge them, and we're gonna have the auction in May. So that's coming up on that for anybody who cares about pigs and wine. I know I do. All right. Kelly is here. Thank you. And David and Kevin is here. And Marie. There's a new one. Marie is new on the list. And thank you for being here. It's like... I love Marie. Thank you. We appreciate you being here. We're live here on Facebook and YouTube and all over the place. And our last question here from the mailbag says, Patrick in Northwest Houston says, my house is extremely dusty. 2 days after I dust, it's dusty again. And I heard you say you have no dust in your house. And Tom, Patrick wants to know, how are you pulling that off?
Well, first off, it's not that I don't have any dust. Dust happens. And tell you right now, with all the yellow pollen, there's dust everywhere. I don't know about the rest of you, but I live up on the northwest side of Houston. I got those pine trees and those giant oaks, and they're just pollinating away like crazy. So it's rather disgusting, to be honest with you. My Bronco, I wash it and it's bright yellow the next day. So the other day I just bought a taxi sign and put it on the top so people would think that's the color and it's supposed to be that way. But as far as that goes, at regular times throughout the house, I have fresh air returns. I just bring in fresh air, and the whole concept behind it is this. You're going to have infiltration into your home. Do you control your infiltration, or do you let it come in uncontrolled? Most homes are uncontrolled. When your air conditioning system turns on, or your heater for that matter, it pressurizes your house, and the ductwork is pressurized, and it starts blowing air through the ducts. We all know how that works. But all ducts have little leaks in different places. Not a lot. A good closed system might leak 10% of the air out through the ducts when it's all pressurized and running. And that means that 10% has to be replaced. And so the house is like a lung, and it just wants to suck in that other 10% because it's choking. And so it needs to have that air replacement. So if you don't have it coming in on a controlled situation, it's coming in through your fireplace, your exhaust vent on your cooktop, your dryer vent, which will bring in a lot of dust. It'll suck in air through that hose because it's attached to the outside. And then you have doors, windows, electrical outlets, all these different areas, even the hatch from your attic where it's not sealed tight like a jar, so it's going to bring in dust. And all of a sudden, if you have 10, 20, or 30% leakage, you're going to have all that uncontrolled infiltration, which means dirty air and unconditioned air. So the bottom line on a simple side is I take Lamiflex, put it in my return air plenum, just attach it. It's a 4-inch pipe. Take it up to the underside of the ridge vent, put a little nail on the rafter, and they both hang there because I have two systems, one for each. And any air that leaks out is automatically replaced by its easiest place it can pull, and it pulls from those two ducts. And so it goes in the return air plenum. It goes through the filter because I have a media filter, so now I've filtered it. Now it goes through the heater or the air conditioner, so now I've conditioned it. So that air that's infiltration comes into my home, my conditioned space, filtered and conditioned. And that's how it's happened, and it's super simple to do, but that's just the mechanics of how an air conditioning and heating system works when you have a central force-blown system, not like radiators or something like that you'd have up north, but actual air blown through the house.
I remember radiators like clunk.
You're smiling when I said radiators. I saw you start to smile.
They start ticking and they clunking and all that.
Oh, yeah. And you have the steam release. Psst. Okay,
there's a song about that, I think, steam heat or something.
That's right.
In fact, you were saying, golly, what were you just saying?
Air returns.
Air returns,
Fresh
yeah.
air returns.
You know, it's amazing when you go around the country, you see the different needs, like, where they put humidifiers in. I mean, even up in Dallas, there are parts of Dallas where they put humidifiers in. And, and this whole return air thing, it's one of the reasons. I wonder, Tom, is that why that sometimes that this time of year people will get that kind of that wet socks, stinky socks, dirty laundry smell or whatever it is, and the stuff that's building up on there from the moisture because it's not getting enough air in there when they kick on the air conditioner?
It's not that it's enough air. That's a little different. That's because when your air conditioner comes on, it's not washing it because it's running too warm, and high efficient systems tend to run too warm. So that's more of an SEER rated high SEER system that is in a humid climate. So no, I would say that's a little different. But just to get a little bit on the political side, they're talking about schools and all this tax money putting in new ventilation systems and whatnot in the schools. I know a lot of you know that, and you're trying to get your kids back to school. Well, what happened back about 40 years ago, all the school systems had fresh air coming in, and to save energy costs, they closed all the dampers to all those fresh air returns in all the public school system because they were run by the state or the feds. So now they have a closed system, and they're saying, well, we have to redo all our schools to make our ventilation system. By the way, the same thing they did on airplanes too. We have to spend all this tax money to redo it, when the reality is, and this is true, all they have to do is go in there and open those dampers, adjust the flow. The dampers are already there. They've just been closed because it was another Congress that made them close it many years ago. I think it was around 1990 when that happened. But now they want to redo all these systems, or at least have money, our tax money, given out for no reason. All they have to do is rebalance the system, and the systems are fine. They did the same thing on airplanes too, where they closed all the fresh air intake. Now they've opened them up, and that's why airplanes are rather safe compared to a lot of other situations, because there's a huge amount of fresh air, and very clean air, I might add, at 20,000 feet coming in and mixing in with everything else. And so people are getting way over the top with this stuff when we've had it there before. But in the original New Green Deal, for fun, way back when they were trying to save energy costs, they went and closed all these things up, which was a big mistake.
Yeah.
For health. Yes.
Yeah. Kerry has a question about his lawn. He's saying he fertilized it on March 6th, and it's looking puny. He wants to know if it's too soon to fertilize. Now, we're not the garden pros, but we know.
No, but I can tell you this. It's not growing right now. Right. Okay, I mean, I've had enough lawns in my life, and I talked to Danny about it. And he's already given me exactly what I need to do for my lawn, and I liked it because I didn't know they had a brown patch microlife, which is new to me, so that's like the perfect answer to some of the problems I've had. But right now, you're not going to see growth. What you're doing is you're fertilizing for root strength. And so if you fertilized it, whatever you fertilized it with, it's going to help. But don't expect it to pop up like it's August and it's beautiful big green blades of grass. We just went through a freeze. It's going to take another month to two before this stuff becomes real grass again. It took a beating, but luckily I've noticed most of the grass is coming back. I don't see a lot of dead grass, and I was concerned because I lost my fruit trees. I lost a lot of stuff that'll have to be replaced. And I was thinking, if I have to replace my yard, I was looking at maybe $7,000 of resodding because I have a 1/3 acre. And I'm thinking, oh God, grass, please come back. My grass is coming back fine.
Not to mention the putting green out back that Tom's big on.
No, I never put it in, but I thought about it at one time.
Okay. All right. Hey, Ralph, thank you for coming in. We're coming in late. You're on the late train because we're about to wrap up here. Robert and Brenda and Bobby. And David had one more question for you. He had asked a question earlier. And his question is, I have, since we're doing the nature thing, Chinese tallow trees, and will they mess up the foundation of my home or garage? They look nice in the fall, but they grow fast, and he describes them as invasive. What do you say?
Most of the guys that I've talked to, I don't have any tallow trees. I know what they are. They call them trash trees. They have a lot of surface anchor roots that go, well, that's the invasive part. They go all over the place, and there's no way to grow grass around it. There's no way to put beds underneath there so they look pretty. It just kind of becomes this big mound of surface roots. They will not hurt a foundation because they are surface roots, and a foundation has a grade beam. You always have to worry about water, and that goes with any kind of planting or tree you ever have. If the ground is watered and the tree is healthy and getting water, and there's the ground is staying consistent, your foundation isn't going to be an issue. But as far as the roots go and pulling up and pushing up a house foundation, a tallow tree won't do that. It'll go up and hit it and spin around and around and get these big knotted roots all over the place, and you're going to hate the dang thing. From what I can tell, everybody I know that's had one eventually took it out, and the older it gets and the longer you let it sit there, the more of that stump grinding thing you have to do, to where you have like a sinkhole in your yard for 5 years, because there's so many residual anchor roots that come out of that thing.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I got a question here that Joe Rodriguez came in here, and he was asking about that drain thing earlier. He wanted to know if that 1, 2, 3 abacus thing includes the camera. I believe it does.
Yes.
Oh, it does.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if it doesn't, then I've been saying a lot of wrong things for a lot of years. Then Tom will come over there. He's got a brownie. Yes. He'll come over. All I can say is they did it for my mother. I'm sitting at the table. He came in. He said, "Okay." I said, "What do we owe you?" $123. And he ran the camera down, and he realized it was cigarette butts in her case. She finally admitted to flushing cigarette butts down her toilet. So that was a different time. as far as it goes, the reason they do that is they're able to do it, they're set up, they run the camera. And again, like I say, if you have a real major problem, they want to tell you. So it's easy for them to do it. It's $123. You can get some guys come out and unclog a drain for $40. Now they're going to walk away hopefully selling you something else. But $123 will include all that package. And if you do have something down the road, at least you will know it, and they will say, this is what's wrong. If you ever think about fixing it, call us. You want us to fix it, and here's what we'll charge to fix it. And then you can go out and get other prices if you want.
I want to Jen Psaki do this, which is circle back.
Oh, you want to go around?
I want to circle back. On something about that. We talked about the clean out that you have to have to work. If you don't have one, they'll put one in. And if you don't have one, you ought to have one. And so it's almost a diagnostic. Yeah. So.
Oh, I totally agree. And while they're there and they're going to do this, I don't think you'll find the cost astronomical by any means. All it is a little T with a cap, and they glue it in. If it's just PVC pipe, it's not a big deal. It's just digging the hole and finding the connection.
Well, there's that.
But
okay.
But you also mentioned they can go through, and we kind of got sidetracked. They can go through the vents if it's not a big giant house and 3 stories tall or something. They can run down the vents. I had a problem once where they went in the attic because they didn't want to get on the roof. Charles over at Abacus was the guy that was at my house that day. Yes. And he said, Tom, can I cut your pipe? I said, yeah. He glue it back together. I don't care. He went up in the attic and cut a piece out of it, snaked out my line, and then glued a little piece of pipe back because it was just the vent stack. Yeah. So there's ways to get to it. Get a good plumber like Charles at Abacus Plumbing, although he doesn't do house calls anymore. I don't even know if he's still there. He might be retired. But he was a great guy.
I believe Charles is still there.
Is he
he's
good?
Not doing houses. He was one of the
original, wasn't he?
The original. He and Alan and
there was Jim with him at the beginning.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, and Jim's gone now. I mean, gone. And
understand.
But I'm trying to remember. Lee, I can't remember his name. Alan. They both came from Ireland together, and they started the company. And can't remember his name.
I don't know that one.
But I'll tell you something. I mean, just wrapping up here, guys. We're kind of landing the
Charles
plane
was
here.
a great guy.
Yeah, this is that kind of moment when you get that sinking feeling. The plane's coming down now. But when I was over there the other day,
ding, ding.
Not quite yet. No, we'll be exiting by rows. By the way.
Yes.
I loved, by the way. A guy who's in line getting on the plane with me on Wednesday. He says, "I love this thing. We're going to exit by rows. Like that's new. How else do you get off the plane?" But anyway, but up at Abacus, if you go up there, and this is a great thing. This is part of what makes it a great organization. Is they have the legends of Abacus as they retire. They're putting their picture up on the wall. I mean, big picture, and it's a really nice culture, and that's why we love working with them, and we're honored that they like working with us and appreciate their part. By the way, all our home show pros, if you're looking for them, people you can trust. Tom's kind of picky. And so he won't talk for just anybody. And so we've got these people. If you go to homeshowradio.com over there and you scroll up, you'll see that the list of them is all right there on the website. And if you click up here where it says Find a Pro, you'll get this list here that goes sort of by category. So you can find the pro. We made it easy for you to help you out. And find the people that you need. I don't know. By the way, right before I came on the air, I saw that Kathleen Waitley signed off today for the last time on Channel 13. The morning traffic woman. She's retired.
I saw something that she was leaving. I don't really follow local news anymore.
Maybe now, Kathleen, if you're watching, I know that you didn't like getting up in the morning, but you know what? I'm okay if you want to come.
It's better than not getting up.
I don't know what size you are, but we'll get you one of these for you, and you're welcome to come sit here with Tom and kibitz around and probably draw a bigger audience than I do. But
definitely more than I do.
I don't know about that, but we'll be back. But you know what? Yes. And to find out if that's possible, we're going to come back next Thursday at 4:00 and do this again. If you want to get questions to Tom, this button right here brings it up. You'll see right over here. Click on that blue Ask Tom button. It'll take you to this page on our website, and you can either send us a question or a video or what have you. And we're happy to get your questions, and we answer them here on our little program. We do it on Sunday mornings on early edition for like first half hour or so of the Sunday morning show. And then Tom he insists on doing a new video every day. So we post a new one every day. At homeshowradio.com. That's right, kids. Tom just loves doing them. And so we post them every day at homeshowradio.com. So you want to go there. And if you go to our YouTube channel, we just finished uploading, Tom, every question you've ever asked in a video on there. And so if you want to go back, if you go back, it's kind of an archaeological experience for you. If you scroll down through there, because you'll see my hair changing color and lengths. You'll see Tom and me inflating and deflating. And
yes. Boo.
So it's all preserved there for eternity, or until Sergey at Google decides we're a threat and he takes us off. So, anyways.
Well, I will also say I will not be inflating anymore. I bought all new 36-inch waist pants.
Good for you.
I'm not going back.
Good for you. Yeah, Tom and I have both been working on that. Tom said to me one day, we're both in our 60s. It's time. This is our last chance to drop it. And so
no more do-overs. We can't get fat and thin. It's either this is how we're going to end it. My dad taught me that. He went through that too, and he stuck with it. He lost his weight, went back to his high school weight, and when he died, he was at his high school weight.
I know.
And that was 30 years later at 92. He just died last summer, but he had a good life, and he was smart. He inspired me on this one.
This is what draws you people to the show, and we want to make sure you get a heaping helping of it here at the end. But I will tell you, when I got on the plane, Tom, never was I so glad to have done what I did in doing this stuff. Tom I don't know what you're doing. I'm doing intermittent fasting.
No, I went vegetarian.
Yeah, I can now. You see,
that's okay.
These are incisors. These are incisors. They meant for chewing meat. So I don't want to.
Well, I choose Dave's bread too. I choose lots of stuff. Mm-hmm. I did. I went vegetarian. I'm not going back.
Hey,
but for other reasons too.
Saturday, Tom's out at Sci-Fair at the Berry Center for the, what is it called? The Outdoor Living and Garden Home and Improvement.
Tony keeps getting them bigger. Love Tony, right. But Tony, shorten the names and keep them the same.
Yeah, keep it simple. We're old and we want to remember what we're talking about.
Outdoor, indoor, living, non-living show, whatever. They're great shows. It's just the names.
Yeah, the name is too long when we get to the end of it and we can't remember how it started. So.
And the last one was Humble. Instead of Montgomery County, as opposed to the Sci-Fair.
Well, we're going to Montgomery County.
Then we had the Stafford, huh?
Mm-hmm. We're going in May. We're going to Montgomery County in May.
I know. There's so many different. That's part of the name.
At Sci-Fair.
I don't know.
You want to go to Sci-Fair this weekend, Saturday. Yes. Tom will be broadcasting his show there. And kids, if you've never seen a live broadcast, this is your chance to see radio happening live at the Berry Center. Anyway, so that's it for today. Thank you so much. Tom will see you Saturday, hopefully, at the Berry Center. And we'll see you here next week with Ask Tom Live.
Got a question? Ask Tom on Home Show Radio. Home Show Radio. Free advice from a pro who knows. Home Show